Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for that beautiful start to our service, Sandy, and for the wonderful music you always provide for us. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Door County. I have a responsive welcome this morning that I'd like you to take part in. We're going to divide the sanctuary into two parts. Part one over here, part two over here, and it's very easy. You don't need printed words. When indicated with my hand, this side will say, "Come in." Come in. And this side will say, "Be among us." Be among us. Perfect. Okay. To all who are yearning for community, come in, be among us. To all who are just getting started, to all who long to go deeper, to all with tender places needing care, come in, be among us. To the ones who have healed and have care to give, for those who are curious and hungry to learn, for those who know that they have something to teach, come in, be among us. For the ones who are just beginning to suspect they might nurture others, becoming, to the young and the old, the innocent and the jaded, the fresh of mind and the deeply steeped, there is room here for each and every one. Come in, be among us. Thank you. I'm Donna Johnson, your service leader this morning. So please take a moment to silence any noise-making devices you may have, any phones, pagers, whatever makes noise these days. On behalf of the fellowship, I extend a special welcome to any visitors who may be with us this morning. And it's our custom to ask visitors to stand and introduce themselves. And so if you're here for the first time or you haven't been here in a long time, if you're comfortable, please stand and introduce yourselves so we can welcome you. Any newcomers, visitors? I guess not. Hello, old friends. At this time, I direct you to the announcements on the back of your order of service. If there are any additional announcements that pertain to the fellowship, please share those now, and please wait for Cindy to bring the microphone to you so that all may hear your announcement, and please identify yourself when you start. Any announcements?
Thank you. Good morning, Jane Wise. It's on the back of your announcement, but this is the third Sunday of the month, so it's a special, Sunday to remember that our community partners are the Northern Door Children's Center, the Climate Change Coalition of Door County. I always say it wrong. And the Housing Partnership of Door County. So I appreciate all the donations that you've been making, and whatever you can to continue to do that through the month of June, and that's the end of our fiscal year, and that's when those monies will be divided by 3 and given to all our partners. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cindy Nelson, just a gentle reminder that there are those in our community that are still struggling putting food on their tables. So when you do your grocery shopping, you might think to buy a little extra for someone else. Also keep in mind, for those of you who don't like to shop, Jane and I will do that for you. So we will also accept cold, hard cash. Thank you.
I'm guessing the soft kind, too.
Okay. I'd like to invite Marilyn up to light the chalice as I read these words from Deanna Vandiver. As we light this chalice, a container of air, earth, and fire, this ritual of our faith reminds our subtle and crashing about beings that we are part of a collective, a community of care and connection, courage, and questions, scared and sacred together. Today, we gather with intention and creativity, releasing what we must, shaping what we will, in a space made possible by generations of community care and the courage of connection. At last, we are here. A long winter. After a long winter, we can say enthusiastically and without second thought, Alleluia. Alleluia, spring is here in all its glory. Okay, let's say it together. Alleluia. New life begins. The earth and its creatures are resurrected from their dens of hibernation and dark slumber. Spring is here. Long live spring. Long live the rebirthing of life into new and creative forms. Long live majestic love that calls us out of our shells, out of our tombs, into new ways of being and sacrifice for others. Let the husks of our shells crack, wide open, in celebration of our place in humanity and our place in nature, our place in the universe. Awake, awake, rejoice, live life fully. Live life together, this life now. Alleluia, we are called to live life with reverence for that which calls us forth in creativity and love. Hallowed be, blessed be, and Alleluia. Thank you. I love responsiveness. Please stand in body or spirit and join together to sing hymn number 360, Here We Have Gathered. And please remain standing for the unison affirmation and the singing of the doxology, both of which are printed in your order of service. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives.
Let's
At this time, you are invited to share any joys you may have so that we may celebrate with you. Or if you have concerns that burden you, please feel free to share so that we can offer solace and support. Please identify yourself when you stand up to share, and please wait for Cindy to bring the microphone to you. Keep in mind that the service is being broadcast and will be on the internet, so please do not share about another person or persons unless you have their permission to do so.
I'm Meg Ziegelman, and I have both a concern and a joy. So let's do the concern and get that over with. Peggy Lott, and I know all of you know her well, boarded a flight yesterday to fly out to Wyoming, Jackson, Wyoming, where her daughter is, and has just been diagnosed with a serious cancer. Yeah, so obviously she's very worried. The family is all gathering and helping as best they can. So we're just waiting on more word on that from here. Then the joy is that on Friday I get on the Big Bird and fly to Japan, where I'll be there for 2 weeks, 1 week with a family in southern Japan, and then the second week in Tokyo with another Japan, through a favorite organization of mine called Friendship Force, started by Jimmy Carter. So look it up sometime. If you like immersion experiences, it's a really great way to go. Thank you.
A quick joy, Alan Kopishki here. Just want to let you know that Simon has been officially accepted into the PhD program at UW-Milwaukee for mathematics.
Wow.
Thank you. Judy Miller. My first joy is that finally I'm getting a new hip on Wednesday. And my other, should have been with the announcements, I'm sorry. The book club this week is on, next week, The Woman Who Found the World. And evidently I have the only copy in our all of Door County. And so I finished it, and I will put it at the front desk for anybody that's going to book club. Thank you.
I have a concern to share. Jenny and Ken Yeska, friends of the fellowship, would like to share this concern. They're with us virtually today. Ken fell while clearing snow during the recent storm. He had 2 compression fractures in his spine. He is stable and at home and recovering well. And they're joining us online this morning, and they look forward to seeing us in person again soon. And we just want to let you know we're thinking of you, Ken and Jenny. Thank you so much for the voice message you left with us. I have a joyful correction on the back of your order of service. Today's greeter was not me, greeting with Jane. It was one of our fearless founding members, Helene DeLulio, and the community table. That is actually, you can thank Steve Graff. All last month he was giving me extra donuts and bakery, and boy did it come in handy in the snow emergency week. So, and he actually said, I wanted to bring a dessert today because it was recently my birthday. So happy birthday, Steve. We're having treats on you today.
Thank you, and happy birthday.
Gerhard Bernhard, my show today is I'm celebrating my 90th birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gerhard. Happy birthday to you. Okay, we will now have our joyful offering. If you prefer, you can make a donation online on our website, uuftc.org, and you'll find the donation button on the far right of the home page. It's an easy, safe way and secure way to make your donation. Please give generously to support the work of this fellowship. And a note, well, we don't have any visitors, so never mind. Okay, the offertory. Ba-dum-bum. I am honored to be the service leader today as we welcome back Jacob Jansen, Artistic Director at 3rd Avenue Playworks in Sturgeon Bay. He has worked throughout the United States as a director, producer, and new play developer. He is a tireless advocate for the arts in our community, and he has recently been the past president of Peninsula Arts and Humanities Alliance, an advocacy organization representing 14 of the region's cultural organizations. Originally from, is it Kiel, Wisconsin? Obviously, I'm not a native. Jacob has deep roots in Wisconsin, and he and his wife, Lisa, now live in Sturgeon Bay with their 2 children, Leo and August. Please join in a minute of quiet.
Good morning. It's good to be with all of you again. As I was introduced, it's just so I think it's important to remember the history and connection that we have to places. What wasn't said there was my parents met working in a restaurant here in Door County. So I'm sure there are many, many children all throughout the United States who can draw their roots directly back to this place, and I'm lucky to be among them. So I want to talk to you today a little bit about creativity, community, in an age, I think, that is defined by 2 things: alienation and immediacy. So over the last week, I had the very good fortune of being able to go to New York to work on a play that I had been developing, but it was, of course, right on the heels of the 130-year snowfall that happened. Not the ideal time to be traveling. I was very fortunate, though, that on the way out to New York, we really weren't delayed all that much. I hit it just right, and we had a 20-minute delay. But I was surprised because one of the people next to me while we were waiting for the plane said rather crudely and crassly about how they were upset with the airlines and they were frustrated that they didn't have all of the air stewards to take care of the plane, and why should they have to wait? You know, he didn't need coffee, he didn't need tea. Of course, not thinking that actually they're there for the emergency situation. That's really what they're there for. But it shows you, it's kind of a case in point, an illustration of how small and self-centered many of us can be. So I want to begin with a confession because I am culturally Catholic, though not practicing, and this feels like the kind of place you should do those things, that I am a little bit worried about us these days. Not in an apocalyptic, cable news sense of worry or a sky is falling sense, but in the quiet way that one worries for a friend. I am worried that we are drifting apart. Like that gentleman in the airport who thought only of himself and that fact that he was going to be delayed 20 minutes when I knew people who had entire flights canceled. We are thinking only of ourselves, and we lack the ability to be in community. We drift from one another, from our own communities, from our own inner lives. We are more connected than ever. I think we can also all be true. I mean, even today, right? We are streaming this service live on the internet for anyone who cares to connect. We have more tools than ever for connection, yet we struggle to speak across the smallest of divides. We live in what some have called an age of alienation. Alienation from our labor, from our neighbors, alienation from the natural world, alienation even from ourselves. And so today I want to offer a simple claim that creativity is not a luxury in an age of alienation. It is a lifeline. A community is not a byproduct of creativity. It is its purpose. So, there was a time when our lives were much more predictably communal. We gathered in town halls, churches, union halls, bowling leagues. We sat shoulder to shoulder at concerts, games, potlucks, and meetings. The arc of our weeks bent naturally toward shared experiences. And then the screens came. At first, we sat shoulder to shoulder, of course, in the great, cinemas and movie palaces. But then that screen got smaller and smaller, and we gathered around that glowing box. But then they multiplied and they shrank until each of us held a private portal in our hands. And now, increasingly, the world is filtered and curated for you specifically and delivered to you in fragments that are designed to never challenge us and to drive us towards accepting a status quo. They may drive us to be enraged for profit. We can scroll for hours and never once be surprised or challenged by another human being, because the screens don't care and the screens don't blink. Alienation thrives in this environment because alienation is not simply being alone. It is being unseen, unheard, and unfelt. It is the feeling that no one shares your inner weather. It is the slow erosion of belonging. Sociologist Robert Putnam described the shift many years ago in his seminal book, Bowling Alone. We were participating in many of the same activities that we had for generations, but we were no longer doing them together. The forms remained, but the communities had thinned. The leagues, the classes, the groups were dissolving. Social media introduced in the early aughts, gave us the sense of being together even when we were apart. And in many ways, this, of course, was a blessing. For families who lived apart from one another, we could participate in each other's lives. We could keep tabs on old friends. But the honest to God truth is it is never as good as being together in person. And then the pandemic, of course, supercharged that situation. And for the safety of all, we were encouraged to be together apart. Now, the cultural theorist and anti-fascist Antonio Gramsci understood that civil society as a network of spaces where we come to understand ourselves in relation to one another. Churches, clubs, schools, the arts. And when those spaces weaken, something essential to our relationships and to our democracy is threatened. And that is where alienation deepens. Because alienation does not arrive in a crash. It arrives quietly. It convinces us that isolation is normal, that we are self-contained. Not needing one another is a kind of failure. But we are not self-contained. We are relational. We know ourselves in the encounter with each other. We need spaces like this one, where we gather, we sit together, and we open ourselves to something that is beyond our own comprehension, where we can open ourselves to the mystery of being. My own art form is very much that space. Started as a religious ceremony thousands of years ago to bring us into community to understand one another. Now, I think there is one other trend that defines this period, not just isolation, but it is, we have to talk about speed. There's an incredible new book that was just published about 3 weeks ago by Anna Kornbluh. She is a cultural theorist and critic at the University of Illinois in Chicago. Her book is called Immediacy, or the Cultural Style of Too Late Capitalism. In it, she argues, unsurprisingly based on the title, of course, that we are living in an age that is organized around immediacy, the demand that everything be available instantly with as little friction as possible, from desire to fulfillment. Of course, you see it everywhere. I mean, just look out on the highways. You see the fast food, right? Of course, or on your phone, right? You have a question about something. You can type in the question. You have an answer immediately. Now, whether or not that question is actually answered by the answer remains to be seen. Or even streaming services. You once upon a time had to go to a movie theater and plunk down some money to see the film, and now you can see thousands of films at the touch of a button. No waiting. Immediate. And our society has been oriented in the direction of instant gratification. So she argues that, of course, when we expect packages to arrive tomorrow, when we expect answers to arrive in mere microseconds, when we expect our entertainment to be waiting for us without interruption, without effort, that shapes how we experience our lives and how we know each other. Because when immediacy is the dominant value, it reshapes our expectations, not just of service, but of each other. And it changes our relationships to one another. Because I'm sure, as many of you know, relationships are not just something that happen. They have to be worked on. Community is not just something that happens. It must be built and tended to. So when we expect that everything should arrive, that satisfaction should be immediate, that if something does not reward us right away, that it is not worth our time. And so a culture of immediacy coupled with a cultural kind of substrate of alienation, that's a potent blend for sorrow. Now, she also argues that even in our space of communication, we are hungering for immediate gratification. Just think about social media, Facebook or Instagram. Somebody puts a post up and then instantly people are commenting, fighting, hoping to get that feeling of connection in the form of a tiny message that someone will forget moments later. And that has replaced real communication and real connection. And over time, these social media interactions, these mediated experiences of one another, have come to replace the face-to-face. So this is where creativity matters. Because creativity does not obey the logic of immediacy. And trust me, I wish it did. So much. Because you cannot rush your way to a meaningful poem. You cannot shortcut a deep relationship to a piece of music. You cannot instantly arrive at understanding in a rehearsal studio or in a garden, or, there are no shortcuts to that perfect loaf of bread. Creative work is something that asks of us. It asks our attention, our presence, our patience, our commitment. It asks our time. In that way, creativity, creative acts, whatever they may be, whatever it may be for you, is an act that disrupts immediacy. It disrupts, hopefully, that feeling of alienation. Because satisfaction when you are creating does not come quickly. Satisfaction when we create comes through struggle, through frustration, through stubbing your toe on that same piece of scenery over and over and over until you go, oh yeah, that's right, that's where the door is. I shouldn't hit that. Slowing down is not the defect. Slowing down is the point. When we engage with a work of art deeply as audience members, not just as the creator of the thing, we are working on becoming one with the person who created that thing. When we step out of that feeling of current immediacy, that feeling of alienation, and come into communion with that creative person, we are making something spacious. We are becoming more attentive and sensitive to the people around us. We are living fully. And when we do that together, something powerful happens. It's happening in this room right now. As we all sit here and listen to me, we are coming together as a group. I think the first time I was here, I talked about the idea of entrainment. It's something that groups of humans do naturally. You cannot opt out. We start to synchronize our breathing, our heartbeats synchronize, our blinking synchronizes. We become one. And that fleeting moment, alienation, cannot happen. It's an impossibility. And that is why spaces like this, every week, are so important. And that is why spaces, concert halls, community spaces, art centers, the Y, the gym, whatever it is for you, are so important. To be in space with other people, to breathe and to rub up and have actual friction with other bodies. Because in those spaces, we have to slow down for one another, and we have to be in relation. The first time I was here, I told you about this book that I really love. The book, Alan read the whole thing to be the service leader that time. It was The Gift by Lewis Hyde, where he talks about communion. And for me as a theater artist, communion is a really important idea, because I said, culturally Catholic. So, but the idea that artists and audiences can become one are so important. Not in a doctrinal sense, but in a sense that we share something of ourselves. And when you go out into the, if you're a gardener and you plant a beautiful garden that someone else will see, that creative act brings you into communion. Perhaps with someone you will never see as they drive by on a road or walk by or ride by on a bike, but you have impacted them in some small way. There are millions of ways to draw people into communion, but they all stem from creativity. So, alienation tells us that we are alone in our confusion in our society, but creativity reveals that we are not. And think of the last time, a piece of music or a line of text named something that you had never been able to say. Because the moment is not about the object itself, but it is about that recognition. It is about that contact and that friction. Now, of course, there is a challenge that creativity is not only something that we receive, but is something that we have to practice. And that's where the frustration comes in, right? That we have to continue to do it, to master it, to come up against the edges of our own understanding and our own experience until we find something new. And it's easy to just remain on the surface, which I think is where Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook would love us to remain, right? Don't go too deep. Just consume, just observe, let others do the making, who we are paying. But community does not grow from that. We have to engage if we want to grow our community, if we want to be in communion with one another. And participation is slow. Being a part of it is slow, hard work. I may never be the biggest fan, of course, the problem du jour, right, of Timothée Chalamet making fun of ballet. Maybe I'll never be the biggest fan of that. But if I go and continuously experience beautiful dance, I bet you I'll come to appreciate it in a different way. Showing up is part of what we have to do. It requires us trying, failing, adjusting, learning, growing. It requires us to see something new that we may not understand. So in rehearsal rooms, I have watched actors work through scenes that do not yet make sense thousands of times. And I think they should make sense right away. But we circle material. We test hypotheses about it. They listen, respond, and adjust, as do I. Because understanding does not arrive all at once. It emerges gradually through time and through our communal understanding of the art we're making. So, what do we do in an age of alienation shaped by immediacy? I say we must choose to stay. We must gather. We must make things together. We must give our attention to one another, even when it would be easier not to. We must invest in spaces that ask something of us, spaces that require our presence and not just our preference. We have to support practices that unfold over time. Rehearsals, classes, community choirs, conversations over shared meals. We must resist, in small but meaningful ways, the idea that everything of value must arrive immediately. And most importantly, we must learn to attend to each other, and attend in person. The poet David Whyte writes about those moments of life that asked us to stop what we are doing and to stop what we are becoming while we do it. Questions that can make and unmake life, questions that do not go away. What if one of those questions is this? What are you giving your attention to? Or another, what might grow if we stayed together a little longer? We do not overcome alienation with speed. We overcome it with presence. So, I stand before you as someone who has wrestled with skepticism, and I do not claim certainty about ultimate truths, but I am certain of this, that when we gather, when we create, and when we truly attend to one another, and we will remember something essential about who we are as humans. We remember that we belong to one another. And in an age of immediacy, the act of remembering may be the most radical thing that we can do. Thank you.
I hope you will join us in the gathering room across the lobby for coffee, tea, refreshments, and fellowship following the service. And after approximately 15 minutes, a chime will sound, signaling the start of the talkback back in this area of the room. Now, please rise in body or spirit and join in the singing of hymn number 326, Let All the Beauty We Have Known.
Let all the beauty we have known illuminate our hearts and minds. Rejoice in wonders daily shown, in faith and joy and love that binds. We celebrate with singing hearts the loveliness of sky and earth, the inspiration of the arts, the miracle of every birth. Life's music and its poetry surround and bless us through our days. For these we sing in harmony, together giving thanks and praise.
We close today with words by Amy Zucker Morgenstern. May all our hours together be blessed as this one has been, by open-hearted sharing, learning from one another, and making beautiful harmonies together. And may we greet everyone we encounter with the same acceptance and grateful kinship until we meet again. Again, I invite Marilyn to come and extinguish the chalice as I read these words from Craig Rowland. As we extinguish this chalice flame, may the warmth of its light remain with us, guiding our steps and our hearts. Let us carry forward the strength of this community, the courage to speak truth, and the hope that transformation is possible. In each breath we take, may we remember that the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls. Go in peace with the light of this gathering to illuminate your way. May it be so.